first, John, what college did you go to and what did you study?
Well, I went to UCLA, and I went there on purpose because they had one of the best pre-law programs in the nation at the time. And I studied political science, public law. It was a concentration of public law classes like constitutional law, administrative law, that prepared me for law school.
Okay, and were there any other careers you wanted to pursue as a kid before lawyer?
Yeah, I wanted to be a producer and a writer in Hollywood. I really did. I thought that would be a great career. It's hard to break into the industry. My sister was a director in Hollywood and got into Hollywood and did fairly well. But I know that it's really tough. I have relatives that have tried for years to break into the business. Law was an easier way to get a job, get a career, and it just so happened that part of my practice is in the entertainment field. So it worked out.
Okay, that's good. And then what would you say are the major benefits to being a lawyer?
Well, here's what I tell everybody. If everyone has a gift, and you got to find out what that gift is. And if, with me, it's pretty funny. I knew I was going to be a lawyer. I got into an argument with my girlfriend, and it was really a discussion that was quite logical, a little heated. At the end of the conversation, we got done arguing back and forth. She said, "You argue so much, you should be a lawyer." And I thought to myself, yeah, she's right. I should be a lawyer. Because I love to put arguments together. I love to debate. When I was in college, I was on the debate team, and I decided, well, I have the ability to argue, so why not try it out in law school? And when I was in law school, I won a court contest, and then from there I went into litigation.
Good decision. So what are the major struggles of being a lawyer?
Well, it's really interesting. If you're in litigation, you're in a battle. And the battle is usually between two parties. It's over property. It could be in a medical malpractice case, which I did some med mal. It could be over the death of somebody. So it's conflict. It's stress. You're fighting for somebody's rights. And it can get personal. It can get stressful. It can, when you're in the courtroom, you think, on TV, you only see lawyers that are in the courtroom and you think that's where the battle is. No, the battle is before you get to court, many hundreds of hours of preparing. When you're in court, there's a battle. That night, you're preparing till midnight. You don't go to bed till 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning. You wake up at 6, go to court, and you battle. It's very exhausting. So litigation, I find it stressful because you're in that adrenaline-producing environment, and you're constant in that fight mode. So I find that stressful as a lawyer.
Very stressful. Okay, so I know you answered part of this question with that last response, but is it very time-consuming and expensive being a lawyer?
Well, it's not a job, it's a career. So time-consuming is, don't measure a career in hours so much because you're committed to achieving a goal. Let's say you've been charged with the responsibility of representing a family in a wrongful death case in a medical malpractice matter like I have. So what you would do then in those cases is you would fully investigate the case, however long that takes. That could be reading hundreds, thousands of pages of medical records. That could be taking depositions. That could be poring over written discovery or documents exchanged between the parties, court hearings. It's whatever it takes to represent that family, to make the case that the doctor acted below the standard of care and whatever treatment was rendered, and that breach of the standard of care was a cause of the death of this person, and then to prove to the jury what that person's life was worth, how they should be compensated. And you can't measure that in time. It's something you do. It's a quest. You can't measure a quest in 8 hours a day. It's something that, will really, you have to commit yourself to, and there's no timeline to it. And if you ask any litigator, for example, they say, well, I work about a 50 to 60 hour week. And a lot of them don't really complain because they're doing what they want to do. Because a career, unlike a job, is something you should want to do. You should be thrilled to be doing. And I think every day, I thank God that I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, it's a great job. You get to help people. You get to do amazing things.
And would you recommend this career to me and other high school students?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, and I mean this as much as I can mean anything, is that if you take on any career, in order to examine whether that career is right for you, you have to examine yourself. You have to look within to see if you have the aptitude, the skills for the job, if you would love what you do, if you love public speaking, if you love arguing, if you love that challenge, then it is right for you, I think. You have to really examine who you are. And if it's right, then I would recommend it. So if you're deciding on a career in law, what I would recommend is, you know, maybe joining the debate team, maybe joining moot court, try out your argumentation skills, but that's just litigation. You might be a great writer. Some great lawyers that I know are excellent writers. You know, they become transactional attorneys. They write amazing agreements, you know, and they put together deals that are just amazing. They're creative. They think outside the box. They think logically too. So there are many different aspects to law. So if you're a good writer, you're somebody who likes to think and plan, you might want to be a transactional attorney. If you have a background in engineering, you're fascinated by inventions, you might want to be a patent attorney. If you're someone who really believes in our American judicial system, you want to fight for the poor, the downtrodden, and so forth, you might want to become a public defender, or you might want to be a civil rights attorney. You have to examine yourself, and if you find that you have an interest in one of those categories of law, then you should pursue it.
Thank you. And here's a question, not that much off topic, but a little off topic. How hard is it, education-wise, to get to a top lawyer?
Well, to become a top lawyer, wow, you know, that's a great question. Well, you have to go through typically undergraduate education. That's 4 years. Well, if you're my kids, it's going to be more than 4 years. So I think I got one on the 10-year plan. But anyway, then you got to go to law school, and that's 3 years. Then you have to pass the bar. And then for the next 5 years, I'm going to tell you, that's your almost internship time where you're learning. My first trial was after my first year. That was a learning experience. I won, and I should not have won. I should have lost. But you know, you learn so much in that first 5 years, and I think you really become an effective attorney after 5 years, even more so after 10. So if you want to reach being a top attorney in your field, you got to love what you do, got to be committed, got to become educated, specialize in an area. Don't be a general practitioner, specialize in a particular area and pursue it. And then you'll make a name for yourself. You become somebody who's really important in the legal community.
Thank you, John. That's it.
Okay. You'll get my bill.